So how much time did you spend behind bars?
Roughly 7 years.
Roughly 7 years. So obviously there was a transition that occurred within those 7 years, and you made that transition into the power of people. What was that road like for you during that time of incarceration and you landing in the power of people class?
That's an excellent question. Well, the road from prison to POP, it was kind of rough. I was halfway through my stint in prison. I kind of had a mental breakdown. I lost my appeal, and this was my first time ever in prison, and I just broke down. Like, I didn't know. I got sent to segregation. I got sent to the hole, and I just had no idea of like how I was gonna do the rest of this time. And I was at my breaking point, and I was in segregation, and I remember just sitting on the floor and just saying to myself, man, this is either gonna make me or break me, and I just decided to not let it break me. I began to pray, and I began to ask God to, remove all the pieces out of my life that didn't belong with the path that He wanted me to be on.
Yes.
And but the thing is, I said I remove everything and everybody.
Yes.
But I forgot, as time progressed, I forgot that I prayed that prayer. And so anyway, fast forward, a lot of people start scattering from me for some odd reason while I was in there. People who I deemed, who I thought, I was close with or whatever. But along came the power of people.
But that is an interesting segue to my next question too. Because the next question is one of the things I wanted to ask you was, what was the dynamic? Because you started to go into it, what was the dynamic inside that attracted you to power of people?
The dynamic that attracted me to the power of people, I would say, is I just began gravitating towards anything that was kind of self-improvement, self-development based. But I noticed the guys who were associated with power of people, they had kind of like a inner charisma about themselves.
Swagger.
They had this kind of like this swag that was unusual, that didn't really align with the frequency in prison. Yeah. Because in prison, when you have hope and when you're optimistic in prison, people are intimidated by that, and they'll try to do certain things to kind of alter that hope and inside. But I was attracted to it. It was kind of like a glow that they had about themselves, and I just got to a point to where I'm like, man, I really need to see what this is about.
Okay. So you're talking about the POP program, but the prison has other programs.
They did.
So what was it that made you? You said it. I'm gonna ask you. Mm-hmm. What was it that made you buy in a POP versus any of the other programs that was offered there inside the prison?
That's a good question. I took a lot of other programs inside prison, and they were very cookie cutter. Like, they didn't like POP, the power of people, not the power to the people, but the power of people, 4 different kinds of people who can change your life: adders, subtractors, multipliers, and dividers.
Yes.
Once I read that book, it kind of put me in perspective about how, you have adders, people who can add to your life; subtractors, people who can take from your life; and multipliers were people that can take what you have and multiply it in a positive way. And then you have dividers, people who separate you from your purpose. And I realized who those people were for the first time in my life.
Yes.
And I realized some of the negative subtractor and divider traits that I may have possessed, or not may have, that I did possess. And, you know, no other program in the institution was really offering that. It was just so bland. Like the other activities and programs in prison were very just bland, but POP gave it to you in the raw. Power People gave it to you in the raw. I related to them, and they sat down and they talked. Shane Price talked with me instead of telling me what I needed. He listened to what I needed, and then formulated a plan. And the man told me, when, you know, my main problem was, my biggest issue was being separated from my youngest son. And I said, you know, I wasn't able to see him, visit him, and I was just telling Shane, who we call Pop, I said, Pop, man, it's tearing me up. And it was making my time inside very difficult.
Yes.
Because I never wanted to not be there for my son. And that was because my father wasn't there for me. So I didn't want to continue that cycle. And so I would beat myself up. And Shane, you know, he told me, brother, when you get out, we're going to help you get your son. He said, I'm going to help you get your son.
Okay.
And, you know, I was like, all right, you know.
Yeah. So that leads me that's good. It leads me to the next question. Mm-hmm. The next question is, with all that was going on, what made you stay and continue to be a part of the Power People movement?
The brotherhood and the camaraderie and the authenticity. See, coming from gangbanging, I never thought that I could be a part of something that was positive, I guess. You know, because
that's well said. Yeah.
Like I never, like I always thought that positive things were like soft, you know, to be honest with you, like,
but I understand. Yeah.
But there's nothing soft about, you know, loving yourself. Right. It's actually a weakness to not love yourself, and it
detrimental weakness.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know, it taught me how to you know, love myself, and you know, being a part of something that's positive inside of an environment that's so negative. And you know, it was actually hard after I left the class, because so many people would they would be so curious. They'd be like, "Oh man, what is that? What's that guy talking about in that class? Who is he? What's he doing?" And they would be so curious, but then they would also learn and seek knowledge from not only me, but a lot of the other student teachers and people that were involved in POP.
Oh, yes.
And so, I guess to go back to your original question, it was just the brotherhood, the camaraderie, and the structure of and the love that was not like, I don't mean like a hug and you know, kissing and all that, but I mean the tough love, because like many other brothers in there, I've never had another black male speak to me in a positive way, like in a way almost like a father figure.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I never knew what a positive black male looked like.
Yeah.
Until, you know, Shane came in and caught me in there while I was pretty much dead. And he spoke life into me. And then that life, I, then was able to speak into other brothers who I seen who were in the institution that were also on the verge of, dying.
Mental breakdown. I heard you, brother. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, you kind of alluded to it, but I want to pose this question to it. What has the Power of People done to support you currently?
Oh wow. Like I said earlier, Shane told me, he said, "Brother, I'm gonna help you get your son." And when I was released from prison, first thing I wanted to do was get my son, but I had to go through a lot of legal obstacles, and Shane was right there with me. Every court day, I would come to the support group that the Power People has for people when they are released from prison. They have a support group that's a continuance of the leadership training every Tuesday.
That's right, 5:30 to 7:30. That's
absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I would go there, and I would in some instances I would cry, because of how hard this parental alienation issue was hurting me, and I'm glad that the Power People offered a space where we could build community, and you could let everything out. Yes. Not only let everything out, but then give me that positive reinforcement,
yeah, feedback,
and then also be there with me every step of the way.
Yes.
Through the legal process. And then, Shane was actually there the day that I got granted, my parenting time with my little man. And subsequently, later that year, I went from being a father who was suffering from parental alienation to winning Father of the Year.
That's right. And
having my son actually be there with me to accept that award.
Yeah.
And, I bought, I told the Pop, I kind of owe a lot of that to Pop.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I've watched you walk, brother. I mean, I see you around your son, King Mason. Yeah. And, I can see in his eyes the way that he looks at you. And, he has a great role model in you. No doubt, man. No doubt whatsoever, man. And he's a fantastic young man, man. You've done a fantastic job, brother.
Thanks.
Done a fantastic job, man. You know what I'm saying? I give you much kudos, man. I admire that. You said to me once, how you kind of looked at me, but I do the same to you. I kind of looked at you. You may be younger, but age is nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? You have an aura about you, a light on you, man. You know what I'm saying? That I like to feast my eyes upon all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad to be working with you as a lead mentor. For these young soldiers out here, these young boys, man. I know you love them. I hear it when you speak, and how you engage them. So I got one last question for you. Before we wrap this up. Very important. Very deep. All right.
Uh-oh.
Right. It might kind of take you back to what you used to be. You know what I'm saying? Before Pop. But that's the question. The question I want to ask you is, where do you think you would be, if you weren't involved with Pop, with Power of People? Excuse me.
Wow. Where do I think I'd be without the Power of People?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. That's a scary question, man, because I read a lot of books and this and that. If I didn't have the Power of People while I was in there, I would have probably there's no telling, man. I wouldn't have came out the way that I am now, because the most powerful thing, the most valuable thing about the power of people is that they train you inside of the institution.
Yes.
There's no other organization that comes into the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
You know, and they catch you while you're in prison at your weakest point, and they make you stronger in the places that you're broken at. So that, and then when you get out, that's where the real work begins. And if I wouldn't have had that training in there when I got out here, I wouldn't have been prepared.
Yeah.
It helped me get free while I was in there, and so when you're released from prison, you have to have support. You have to have a positive pro-social network. You have to, otherwise you'll go back to you'll resort back to what you know.
Yeah.
And that's what they helped me formulate a real life personalized plan, and not just some cookie cutter, oh, you need this, and this, but they prepared me for real life, and
told you why,
and they told me why.
Yeah.
and I came every Tuesday consistently, whether I was doing good, bad, hurt, blessed, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I had a place, and that had the resources and the camaraderie and the love and the cognitive pieces and the mechanism that I needed to help me be successful upon my release. So without PLP, I don't think I would have been a quarter of how far I am now. And this is a family.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I've gotten involved through PLP. I've became an employment navigator, helping other, I won't say ex-offenders, I'll say returning citizens.
Yes.
Within employment, training, education, housing. PLP got me involved with youth development, mentoring.
Yes.
At-risk youth.
Oh, yes.
Grade school kids. I mean, it's without PLP, like I wouldn't have never, got an opportunity to live out my dreams, and it's so.
That's well said. That's well said. That's right, man. Well, hey, man, that's what the pop guys all about, man.
Yes, sir.
We're about believing in ourselves and our dreams and chasing our dreams.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was good, brother. I appreciate your time, man. You know what I'm saying? I again, man, you know what I'm saying? I give you much kudos, man. You know what I'm saying? I love working with you. You are my brother. I love you, man. You know what I'm saying? Right now we're dealing with this virus out here. This novel coronavirus is out here, man. So tell me how you have been kind of managing yourself during this kind of situation. This kind of it's kind of a hairy situation,
I've been staying prayed up for starters.
That's right.
I've been staying prayed up, and just isolating and going out when I need to, and just working from home, staying vigilant, and just keeping my faith, man.
Yeah.
The God I serve is much more bigger than any virus or any other opposition that I may be faced with. So I'm not worried about it. But I will quarantine and stay safe.
Amen, brother. That's right. Yeah. Well, okay. That's good, man. I appreciate your time, brother, man. I do, man. Much love. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Pop guy. Yeah.
Pop guy. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.